Hey y'all, this is AL Think Madame, and this is the last and final episode of Power. So, just in case you never realized it or you haven't caught on, this episode is entitled Exactly How We Planned. And the first episode was entitled Not Exactly How We Planned. So, they wanted to have that to tie in to the last episode. So, fun fact, just in case you didn't catch it. So anyway, this episode started out with Tasha popping up at Quincy's house to get her, a piece. had to go over there and get broke off a piece. And the way she was acting, like she was really trying to rush it. And even though most guys would who don't care and they really are all about that and that's it, they would have been like, oh, okay, set it off then. He was like, okay, no, what's wrong with you, Tasha? And so she was trying to make it seem like, she's just, she's fine, everything's okay, and that, everything is going to be getting taken care of as far as a husband and all that good stuff. And then, once he was basically reassured that everything was okay, she was trying to get back to what she was trying to get done to relieve some stress. And he was like, well, we got to be quiet. And they went to town. So anyway, tell me why this heifer went home and decided to tiptoe in the house like she is the child and Tariq is the parent. And she literally was like tiptoeing in the house. And I'm like, girl, the sun came up and everything else, and you trying to tiptoe in the house. First of all, why? He ain't paying the bills. I don't understand. I mean, is he really? I mean, well, kind of, sort of, but not really. He's still the child. Let's just put it like that. And, of course, he over here trying to read her for tipping in and like, where have you been? I mean, which is true because she out here playing it up like, mama gotta have a life too. So I'm just like, girl, you over here gotta sit up here and tell your son what you got going on. So anyway, he was just like, look, all you need to know is I done told Ghost what it is. He ain't gonna never put his hands on you again and all that. So they are, devising a plan, and, she just feels like she's gonna be able to have that on lock. And so, they go to bed, and then a couple of hours later, he's waking her up out of her sleep. She looking at him like, bruh, I know you're not trying to wake me up out of my sleep to take you to school. You know how to take the train. And so he was like, no, it ain't that. So they wake up, and he ends up, both of them end up seeing that Ghost is slated to be the person who's going to run with Walsh on the ticket to be lieutenant governor of New York. So they just looking like, nah, bro, nope, this can't happen. And so she immediately was like, look, if they look into his background, everything is going to trace back to everybody else, and everybody else is going to get, caught up. So trying to figure out what they can do to just get him arrested or anything so that they aren't exposed as well. So, anything to try to get him put in jail, and, they keep trying to rack their brains and figure out what they can do. So until they can do that, we'll see. So anyway, while they were, in there watching this news unfold, Lisa Marie, whatever, it don't matter because I've heard him call her Lisa Marie. She texted Tariq and was like, who's Tommy? Have you ever heard of a guy named Tommy and all this other stuff? And that's when he told his mama, like, I gotta go, anything else you need or whatever. And, they said their goodbyes, have a nice day today and all that other stuff. So I was like, oh, Lord. So anyway, y'all, after she has, seen this news, Tasha calls Saxe, and she's just like, okay, how can this happen? What is going on here? And, I gave you Terry Silver's body. I don't understand. How is this even possible? So he was like, I don't know what we're going to do, whatever. So then Lisa Marie, the aunt, and Tariq met up, and he listened to the tape, and he trying to sit up here and act like he don't know what happened. We already saw all this before. Y'all already know what it is. He over here trying to play it off like he don't know who Tommy is, and he acting like he really don't know who Ghost is. So then he ended up leaving, and then he texted Tommy to tell him that he needed to meet up with him. So he ended up meeting up with Tommy and all that. So their situation went crazy because he was just like, well, who is this little girl, where they live, and all this other stuff, because that recording is very, very much so incriminating and ain't nobody got time. And Tariq was concerned for Lisa Marie's safety, and he was trying to tell him, like, don't do anything to her. And he was looking at him like, whatever got to be done will get done, so don't worry about that. And so he went on about his business to go and pull up at the house. So anyway, Tariq, I think he gets a text message from his mama and was like, Dre needs money and all this other stuff. So he ends up looking like, oh, here we go. So he ended up meeting up with Dre. And Dre was like, y'all need to run me that money, because, he trying to get out of town. So he like, y'all need to run me that money. And he was like, man, I already told you I got you, whatever. And so he was like, run me a gun. And so he was looking at him like, man, you don't need no gun. What you talking about? And so against his better judgment, Dre gave him a gun. So then he was like, look, I can get you the money, but I'm going to have to go through my father. And he was like, I know exactly what to say to him to get him to meet up with me. Because for some reason, Dre thought he would be dumb enough to be like, hey, Dre wants to meet up with you. Don't you want to meet up with him and talk to him? Like, why? I'm just like, you're dumb. Like, that's why you're dead now. Like, stuff like that just really makes me be like, that's why you're dead now. But anyway, y'all, just stupid. So anyway, Tasha and Ghost are at the graveyard at the same time, and Tasha is arriving after Ghost, and this is when she sees him, and she's looking befuddled, like, why is he here? What in the world? Because he ain't never been there. And he over here talking about, so what are you doing here? And she was like, I come here all the time. I'm always here. And that was literally his first time since she'd been buried that he even visited her, because he'd been doing the absolute most. And I'm sorry, you just trash. You are trash. You are trash. That is your child. I would understand. My thing is, I would understand if you were distraught. Not to say that he wasn't distraught about her death, but I just feel like all the stuff he had going on and then some. You setting it off in relationships. You setting it off. You're doing everything in the world. The least you could have done is go by and see your child every now and again in the graveyard. And I mean, some people might beg to differ just in real life. Like, no, just let it be a memory and maybe visit them on their birthday or a holiday, and that's it. But he wasn't even around as a father. I really thought that he would have felt very, very guilty, and guilty enough to be like, okay, I wasn't around. Let me go around here and talk to her and, do what I should have done while she was living. So I'm just like, come on now. While she was living, you should have did these things, but now you want to feel guilty and try to come and tell her about all your aspirations and everything you got going on now. Anyway, so at the end of their conversation, he proceeded to read Tasha and say, yeah, if it wasn't for me, you'd still be that half-smart hood rat still living in the hood. I was just like, why you had to read though? Like, he read her. So anyway, Tommy popped up on Tasha, and we already know what happened. He was about to kill her. But in this scenario, when she was about to get killed, she said, just take care of my kids. And he said, why? You took my whole family, but your kids deserve better, even if you don't, and walked off. You got red. Everybody got red left and right throughout this episode. Like, it was crazy. It's like he really could have killed you. And instead of killing you, he read you for filth and walked off. Like, oh my gosh, I can't. So anyway, Ghost ended up meeting up with his son, and he over here being dumb, thinking that his son actually wants to meet up with him and discuss some things and, turn himself, do what he needs to do and man up. Lies. So then, Dre popped in there. And even before he popped in there, he was like, you know what? And I mean, he really was really in his feelings about him, putting his hands on his mama, to the point of where he brought it up again. He was like, you taught us not to hit each other. You taught me not to hit a woman. But what'd you do to mom? And then he said something about, remember that time when I hit Raina and what you did to me? Like, you could tell by his reaction the most happened. If it happened and it happened on the screen, it happened a long time ago and I forgot what it was, but I'm pretty sure he reprimanded him as he should have, because you don't need to be around here hitting each other anyway. And yeah, it's just a lot. So anyway, then Dre, he was like, look, I ain't here for all that anyway. And then he ended up letting Dre come in the room, and he was like, what you doing letting the enemy in here? This is our enemy. Cosby said that all. When he get in that character, his voice change, I die. I just be like, sir, just get all that bass out of your voice. I'm tired in my spirit. So anyway, he ended up telling him, like, go wait outside for your little friend. And so, you know, while he was having his conversation with Dre, Tariq was in the hallway, and then he got a text message from Vincent, and he was like, yeah, have you seen Tommy or whatever? So he looking like, here we go. So that's when the gun that he got from Dre, he went and put it in the little elevator stowaway box. I don't forgot what the official name of it is, but he went and put it in there. And then all that good stuff happened. So then this is when we start to see Tasha again. So Tasha is in her feelings. She tired in her spirit, all this stuff popping off. And all roads about to lead back to them. And so she done popped up on Saxe, because Saxe been calling her like crazy. And so she looking like, who is this? And it was Tamika. Tamika was at the house. You know, that's his legal representation. And, you know, at this point, after all that she's given him, there's nothing else for her to give, because he's like, you're going to have to give us something to work with, because the information that you've given us, that's dead in the water. We have to be able to have something to connect to him in order for him to go down. And right now they ain't got nothing. So anyway, Tasha ended up, you know, and they brought up, you know, what about Tate? And so he was like, man, they both hate each other, whatever. And they just needed to know, like, do you think he might have some information? And she was like, well, I don't know. Let me go see. So she went over to where he was at and actually hemmed him up. I was like, ma'am, like, she hemmed him up. And, you know, everything went down, and he said a few choice words to her. And it got to the point where he was like, yeah, your husband wants to turn your son in. And so she was like, no, he would never do that. And so he was like, yeah, what you think this is? He is gonna run, and he going to Albany with or without y'all. He gonna turn him in, or, you know, whatever. It's gonna be y'all over him. I mean, it's gonna be him over y'all. So y'all gonna have to do what y'all gotta do. And he gonna have to be turned in, and ain't nobody got time. So she started thinking about that thing, and she was like, wait a minute, baby. So, you know, because he was like, you know, you need to stop him. And so he's gonna become unstoppable. And then that's when she was like, he's already unstoppable. And I'm like, girl, I'm tired of this unstoppable. That unstoppable episode told my nerve that I want to reach through the TV and say, if you say you're unstoppable one more time, sir, if you say it one more time. Just in case I forgot to say it in the beginning of this video, this was literally the exact episode that leaked. The last two episodes that leaked were these. I could have done this review like 2-3 weeks ago, but yeah, I digress. Anyway. Oh, Lord. So, y'all, Tasha ended up going to the condo that got shot up where Proctor was in it and all that other stuff, and, you know, the person, I guess he's like the building manager or whatever, he ended up giving her some of the things that were personal effects of James's, and she was like, I'll be sure to give it to him. And then she started having these moments where she had flashbacks of amazing memories of Raina, and then Ghost showed up. They got to arguing back and forth, and he read her, because she was like, how could you do this? Why would you do this to your son? And all this other stuff. And he was reading, was like, he did it to himself. He needs to man up. He needs to do these things. This is the problem now. We've been over here doing all this for him. That's the problem. He needs to man up. This is his problem. He did all these things. He needs to take responsibility. He needs to turn himself in. And so she done cussed him out. She said, F you, Ghost. And stormed out the room. I was like, Lord, y'all was doing too much. So anyway, Tasha ended up telling Tariq what went down, and so he's sitting there looking like, he said he would take the fall for me. What is going on here? And I'm like, bruh, he has his sights set on things that aren't family related, you know, and you know, you've disobeyed him every step of the way. ain't here for none of that. He ain't trying to hear nothing you talking about. So he is like livid. Tariq is livid at this point. Like, what you mean? And so he ended up telling her that, you know, him and Dre ended up meeting up and all that stuff with the money, and that he got a gun from Dre. And, you know, he's trying to get her to understand, like, don't worry about it. I hid the gun at Truth. Nobody will find it and all this other stuff. And that, you know, he trips me out, y'all. He had the audacity, after he found out all this information, he wanted to try to act like he was concerned about school. And I'm like, sir, I ain't seen you at the schoolhouse and I don't know how long. Why are you trying to act like you concerned about school? What about school? Well, what am I going to do about school? Like, what are you talking about? You have not been to school in I don't know how long, sir. Every time I see you slanging drugs, you doing everything but school work. So what are you talking about, sir? I was so tired. I was like, we're really not finna do this already. Oh, okay, I'm tired. So anyway, Ghost and Tariq met up because he, within the conversation with Tasha, was like, yeah, send my son to me because I need to talk to him. I need to have a man-to-man conversation with him anyway. He done rolled up on him, ghosting and drinking like a fish and reading down and talking to Tariq like he a common random person off the street. I was just like, oh my gosh. I understand that Tariq is I mean, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you know, Tariq is trash, but I'm just saying he's still his child, but I'm just saying he really did read. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Just like one moment I'm like, I'm here for it, but the next I'm like, but that's your son though. Y'all kept going back and forth. And he was just like, you know, you need to confess. You need to confess. That's the only way that everything will pan out the way it needs to pan out. You need to take responsibility. You need to confess. And so it got to the point where Tariq was like, well, you need to confess first. You have never confessed to anything, not one thing. And you need to start with Breeze. So he ended up starting with Breeze. Excuse me, y'all. And basically was like, long story short, Breeze was doing what he wanted to do. I gave Breeze one last chance to act like he had some sense to do right. And he was in my way, so I had to do away with him. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is what we do. So then Tariq, you know, he got the answer, but Tariq still wasn't trying to hear all that. And it got to the point where Ghost hemmed him up. He was like, get off me! Get off me! Get off me! F you, Ghost! And he was like, don't force my hand. Don't make me have to force my hand. I was like, oh my gosh, Ghost. It just has to stop. So anyway, Tariq ended up going home and telling his mama everything that happened, and then went so far as to say that Ghost was going to kill him. And she was like, he said that? And he was like, he didn't have to say it. I saw it in his eyes. And I was like, oh Lord. So anyway, they over here devising a plan on how, you know, they're gonna get rid of him, because at this point Tasha's like, all right, now he really got to be stopped. So what I'm gonna do is, I have a plan. I done got the keys back to the Cadillac truck. All I need you to do is, when you're done at Truth, at the little party that they're gonna have, when you come out and all that stuff, you know, they were gonna have signals and all this stuff that they're gonna do, and Ghost gonna come back to the truck, and you know, some things gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? It did not need to even be said. Everybody knew what was going to happen. The end. Lights out. We already know. So this is what the plan is supposed to be. And my first thought when I initially saw this episode, or whatever episode initially said something about her getting the Escalade keys back, I'm like, how and why? This doesn't make sense. Why would she have access to that? That's his personal vehicle. They aren't married anymore, or the divorce is going through. Like, I don't understand why she would have access to the keys. But who am I? I'm not the writers. I heard that the writing was trash, but it's like a lot of things are just really falling through holes, cracks, and everything else. All these crevices, and it just ain't making no sense. That literally makes no sense to me. Y'all explain that to me down in the comment section if you understand why in the world she would have the keys again. Why would she have access to the truck? That don't make no sense. But anyway, who am I? So part of Tasha's plan was to go back over to Quentin's house, because she knows of him having an illegal firearm. And as we all know, he is, you know, someone who's not supposed to have illegal firearms. He's not supposed to have a firearm at all. And so she took the gun who I think is Angela's gun and switched it with that gun and proceeded to leave. So I was like, okay, girl, you're doing the most. So anyway, Tariq ended up going back up to Truth for the party, and Ghost was showing him around to people and introducing him to people. And the first person that he introduced him to was Simon, and eventually he was going to introduce him to the mayor. So, you know, he was, you know, again, kind of like, I think Tariq was like, so you really gonna have me, you really want me to sit up here and turn myself in? And he was like, look, son, you look around you. And I was like, Ghost be killing me. But anyway, he basically was like, yeah, you see this? You see what it is? This is real now. It got real up in here. You gonna have to do this for me to, you know, go on in my life. He doing the most. I was like, Lord. So anyway, Tommy was gonna meet up. Tommy texted Tariq and he wanted to meet up with him. He was like, let's meet up at the same place. So at this point, Tariq is still beyond furious. Like, every time you look up, Ghost ain't keeping his promise to him, because he already told him that if anything was to pop up dealing with the case where Ray Ray and all that stuff came up, because we all know he killed Ray Ray, he said that he would take the fall. Now he seems like he ain't, you know, being a man of his word. So he met up with Tommy, and Tommy's telling him, look, we got to back out of the plan. I was wrong about your father and all this other stuff. So Tariq ain't trying to hear nothing he's talking about. He was like, what we're not finna do is that. We need to go along with the plan. And he was like, no, can't do that. So he was like, what we need to do, this is Tommy now. Tommy's like, no, what we need to do is we need to go to Truth and set up a trap for Dre. Because I already know Dre is he probably on his way to where you just came from now, which of course was Truth. So he was like, nah, man, if Dre finna kill him, then it's just gonna have to be what it's gonna be, because that's what I wanted to be. So nah. Tommy had sped off, went on by his business. So this is when he ends up texting Vincent back and is telling him where, well, first of all, he was supposed to go back to Truth. So he went back to Truth, and he was supposed to go along with the plan with his mama. So, y'all, instead of him doing what he was supposed to do, going along with the plan, he started to go along with the plan, and their plan was this, y'all. His mama was gonna text him and be like, don't stay out too late. And he was supposed to text back, oh, I won't be out too late, I'm on my way home now, or something like that. Like, that was supposed to be the code for, oh, well, I'm heading out of the building, and Ghost is heading out of the building too, and he's gonna come to the truck. Like, all that was really supposed to be what that was code for. So instead of him texting her back, they have iPhones or whatever, so you could tell he was trying to text and starting to text, and then he eventually just stopped trying to text. And so she's looking like, okay, what in the world going on? Then she remembered and realized that the teacher got arrested, which I neglected to mention. He got arrested for having drugs on campus. Somebody broke into the car, and they saw the drugs, and they hauled him off. So he over here trying to be in two places at one time. He done sat up here and he trying to go through the back. And so the security guard was like, oh no, you can't go through here at the schoolhouse. This was earlier when it was actually daytime, before all this stuff was going on at Truth. And so he was like, oh, well, I'm just trying to come in. I'm coming in late from my doctor's appointment. He was like, oh, no, that's fine. You just can't come back here right now. And then he gonna randomly ask him, well, you know, have you ever heard of him, you know, selling drugs on campus? He was like, oh, no. Him? No. Trying to act all innocent. He killed me with that innocent act. But anyway, y'all, so, like, back to where we were. So it's nighttime and all that stuff has happened, and, you know, all that stuff has happened, and he is, you know, Ghost is actually the wind down. Everybody left the building. Everybody leaving out. He turned the lights off, all that other stuff. And, you know, Tariq then went and retrieved his bag. And while he is, you know, making his move to get the gun out of the building and, you know, get rid of all evidence pointing anything towards him, he sees Saxe in the building. And that's when we see him drop the gun like a dummy. And he looking like, oh, okay, this is stupid. So then he come outside. And before he do all this, he ends up seeing Ghost Kanan. And Ghost Kanan reads him from the grave. I'm like, how's everybody getting read? Kanan read him down and basically told him, I taught you better than this. You supposed to be a man and handle this. You letting your mama fight your battles for you, and you owe me and you owe yourself. So then all of a sudden he got some balls from out of nowhere and decided, oh, well, I'm gonna go kill Ghost. So that's what he went to go do. So he went and rolled up on Ghost, and Ghost looking at him like, what are you doing here? And Tariq got tied in his spirit, and he just kept going back and forth with him. Ghost gonna try to reason with him and try to talk to him. Was like, then it's like when he kind of realized he wasn't gonna get through to him, he was like, well, if you do this, you know you can't go back. And Tariq was like, I want to go back. I want to go back to where it was before you started being with Angela and all this other stuff. I was like, oh, Lord. Then that's when Tasha came in and Tariq shot Ghost. That was my guess the entire time. That was the obvious choice. I don't know. I do not understand where people got Q from. I don't understand where people got Ramona from. I don't understand where people got Sax from. I don't understand where people got any of these other stupid people from, because it don't ever make sense, and it didn't make sense. And there are people out there right now who still believe that this was all a dream, and that was another ignorant theory in my opinion. And it's like, how are you going to have a Power Book 2 or whatever the name of the spinoff is supposed to be, and we already know what it's supposed to be about? How is it going to be about that if Ghost is still alive? Like, stop. So anyway, he shot him and he fell, and a lot of people were like, well, that was a short fall. Why would he die from that? Well, he, kind of solid. And the way he fell, and he got shot kind of close range, you can bleed out. One of two things can happen. He kind of got shot somewhat center mass, so, close range, and he was bleeding out. So that's how. Anyway, so that's when they showed the little scene where Tasha was like, no! What have you done? Y'all, they end up trying to throw everything away, and she telling him to go on by his business, and she gonna get rid of the gun, and he need to get rid of his clothes and all this other stuff. And the gun that he has is supposed to be a way that's gonna kind of exonerate them if anybody even tries to trace it back to them, because it's the gun that Dre gave them. So all he has to do is get rid of his stuff, and all she gotta do is get rid of the gun, whatever. So Tasha leaving the building. Oh, I neglected to mention that Quentin, drove her somewhere near Truth, and she went to a back alley or some way to get there so that she wouldn't be seen, I guess, getting caught on any cameras, because hopefully his business isn't stupid enough to not have cameras outside of the building. But anyway, yeah, I neglected to mention that. So he, actually drove her up there. Y'all, so this is when y'all saw the point of view of Tommy looking up at somebody. This is what irks my soul, and I don't understand people. And if you're one of those people, I don't understand you. The episode that was the Tommy episode, they saw Tommy look up and see somebody, and he was about to shoot them, and Ghost said, let him go, let him go. Or let him go, let it go. But there was no let her go ever. As far as what the episode I saw initially, it said let him go. So I didn't understand why people were saying, well, did he say let him go or let her go or let it go? And I was like, he clearly said let him go, but okay. And who do we see? A male, his son, let him go. Who am I though? But okay, anyway, y'all, that told my nerves up. When I tell you, I was in power groups, and everybody was in, most of the people in there were saying let her go, and I was like, that's stupid. And people were saying the her that they're referring to is Ramona. I'm like, that's not one of the people who was the suspect. Y'all don't understand the stupidity that I have been enduring with these stupid people. These people are so dumb. But anyway, I'm sorry, I digress. It was just so stupid. Where was I? I was just so tired. But anyway, Tommy was about to shoot at him, and then he pulled his arm down and was like, no, let him go, let him go. And, that's when all that stuff happened. So anyway, y'all, oh, Lord. So after all that stuff happened, Tariq tear my nerves up. He kills me. So he done came around to the front of the building where all the police have gathered and they done taped off everything and they got the lights blaring. And he was like, where's my dad? Where's my dad? What's going on here? Where's my dad? He really over here trying to act like he is so distraught. I'm a distraught child. What happened to my father? No, where's my father? I was like, if you don't get somewhere, I need to see my dad. I need to see my dad. I was like, bruh, if you don't get. So anyway, he ended up coming home later on, and him and Tasha both said they got rid of the prospective items that they both possessed correctly, and they went to bed like nothing happened. So the next literal day, they had the reading of the will. Well, I guess it was the next day. Anyway, they had the reading of the will, and the reading of the will consisted of her mama getting a year's worth of her rent paid out of the estate, and that's it. And she was like, that's it? Tasha got nothing at all. The 3 children, including Raina, like I'm making sure y'all understand when I say the 3 children, one that is deceased and the 2 that are still alive, they were the people who got the rest of the estate and all the other stuff. Tariq got more because he got, the business, truth, all that other stuff. And this was the gotcha. And I died laughing the first time I saw this. This was the gotcha. He was over here trying to tell his mama, it's okay, Mom. I'll take care of you. And so he was like, yeah, no, not exactly. So what you got to do is you have to go to a 4-year university and graduate with at least a 3.5 GPA before any of the money can be released for you to use. The end. So they all left the building angry beyond belief. And when they were leaving, Blanca rolled up and was like, y'all got to come downtown and talk to us. So Tasha and Tariq were in 2 different rooms talking. One was talking to Sax, and that was Tariq. And Blanca was talking to Tasha, and they both are trying to convince her that Dre is the one who did all this stuff. Nobody at the time knows that Dre is burnt to a crisp. So anyway, it got to the point where when Sax was talking to Tariq was trying to act as if all of a sudden he became thirsty because it got a little hot in there and he wanted to get Sax alone. And Sax was seeing through the BS. So when he got him alone and he got the GAL, guardian ad litem, I don't know if y'all know about all that, but that's who that woman was. That is a court-appointed lawyer for children, people who are underage. And in situations or whatever. And he got her to leave the room, and she was like, anything he says is off the record or whatever. And so Sax was like, well, if anything happens, I'll come and get you if he does say something that needs to be, put on the record. So he talks to him. Long story short, he was like, I saw you. Saw you in the club. I saw you. So what's going to happen is all of this is going to be Dre's fault. You going to say Dre did it. I said what I said. Do I make myself clear? And so Sax was like, yeah, so Dre did it. So then he decided to reconvene with Blanca and was like, yeah, so we've hit a roadblock, and basically, if you can't get Dre to be the one, if he's gonna be the fall guy, whatever, your career gonna be over and all this other stuff. So she looking like, what? So she ended up calling somebody to be like, yeah, bring Coleman in here. And then they ended up trying to bring him in there, and that wasn't gonna happen. So she's looking like, what? Finds out he's burned to a crisp. And Spanky's dead too. So she's left with no other choice but to talk to 2-Bit. Francis. We all know Francis ain't no snitch. So I was like, I don't know what was the point of you trying to bring him in on anything. So anyway, he proceeded to read her and wanted to go back to his cell. And, she does like everybody else tried to do and be like, oh, well, we gonna have to connect these 3 murders, or we gonna connect these murders and to him. And then he looking like, I don't know what you're talking about. Bye. Like, ain't nobody got time. Like, I know what you're trying to do. I don't know why she tried to pull that on him. Like, he might be a criminal, but he's actually smart. There are a lot of smart criminals out there. I know it's an oxymoron, but y'all know what I'm saying. Anyway, Tasha ended up meeting up with Simon at this formal dinner. And so she, had a proposition for him and was like, look, I know you want truth and I can deliver that to you, but it comes with a price. It is a part of the estate, but the estate is willing to give it to you if you can get my son into your alma mater. So he looking at her like, that ain't nothing to do, but what you gonna do is work for me, because basically I need a black face in the place. And so she was like, okay, whatever. So I was like, this is stupid. I can't. So anyway, Dre is dead. They can't blame nobody. And, she didn't even know. And Simon was like, well, do you think the two murders are connected? So she was like, I don't know. And I'm like, Lord, I'm tired of everybody. So Tasha is trifling, as we all know, and her last-ditch effort was to get Quentin caught up. So since she knew that she had the plan set in place, and she saw that, once she realized that all the other stuff was out the window because Dre was dead, she set the last plan in motion as she called the police on Quentin. So she went over to Quentin's house, screwed him for the last time. While they were in the middle of having sex, the FBI busted in and said that, you are not supposed to have a legal weapon in here. We had a tip that somebody had an illegal weapon up in here who wasn't supposed to have it. She over here got her hands up, talking about some. He was like, Tasha, tell him I was with you. She over here like this, holding the cover up with her arms like this. I was like, girl. And he can look and tell that she is trifling. And I'm like, sir. Anyway. Oh, Lord, I was so tired. So anyway, Tariq started college the following day. And before he went to school, Tasha was in the kitchen, cooking up a good old meal for him to eat. Then she's thinking that, her mama coming over or whatever to pick him up or whatever it was. And it was Blanca and the other FBI agents coming to pick Tasha up for the murder of her ex-husband, or whatever you want to say it is. And Tariq is over here fighting the whole time, like, no, Mom, he's telling the truth. And she was like, Tariq, go to school. Do something with your life. So this heifer did like Ghost told her not to do, and continues to take up for him and just fight every single battle for him instead of allowing him to learn his actual lessons. So they killed me because they kept going back and forth, showing Tasha getting booked in prison. They had her take her lashes off. She had to take the wig off. She had to come up out that wig, y'all. Y'all already know in real life how they be trying to read her edges. And so they had her hair braided up in the typical braids. And I was like, Lord. Then they kept showing Tariq. You could tell he was going to school. He was walking down the hall. Then he went into his dorm room, y'all. And then all the while they had that one song. I don't know who the person is. I thought I had the song at one point. But they basically did a remake to the remake to the remake and remix and all the rest of that of Big Rich Town. Is it? This is a big rich town. But I ain't gonna lie, whoever it was started going off towards the end. I don't know. They randomly started like that little growling thing that some people do. And I was like, okay, I'm here for this. Anything's better than Trey Songz. And if that was Trey Songz, he should have did that the first time, because no. But it wouldn't have gone with the theme of how the song goes, so whatever. Anyway, it was hilarious. So she looking real rough in prison. And the very end is showing him going into his dorm room. And he closes his door. His whole name is on his door, and it says Class of 2024. That was the end of Power. Now, they have like a 2-minute or so clip at the end that shows how the next installment is going to be as far as the spinoff is concerned. And it's just showing a young Ghost, a young Tommy, and a young Angela at the schoolhouse. And Ghost and Tommy are trying to figure out, what they need to do because they were working for Kanan at the time, and Angela came from out of nowhere and started talking to Ghost about Choate and all that stuff. And, Tommy was still literally being the exact same way he is now. He wasn't here for that. And, he heard about the drugs and the little money that he was getting as a young high schooler and all that. And, that's about it. It was all a dream to play when it came on, and that was it. So anyway, I hope y'all enjoy this review. I might come back later on with the Family or Fiance episode. I have to do my hair. It's my birthday week, and I gotta look halfway decent. This is just a takedown. I just want to look somewhat presentable while doing this. But anyway, y'all have a good one. Y'all let me know down in the comment section if you liked this show. Did it start dragging towards the end? She said the last 45 seconds was the best writing that she ever came up with in her life. Y'all let me know if y'all agree with that down in the comment section. Anyway, I hope y'all have a good one, and I'll talk to y'all later on about some more things. Bye.